I was bored one day. I've been messing around with ChatGPT and I decided to build my own tool. I'm not a great developer, you know, I can do the job.
Honestly, if this works, that's mind blowing. Okay.
I was working on a client project, particularly a branding project, and I wanted to use Google in a particular way where I could just type in a keyword, let's say happiness, and it would return the dominant color of what happiness is.
Right.
You know, when we're trying to find colors, we use plugins. I was using coolers. There's lots of color palette generating tools out there.
Yeah, because that's my question. Like, can't you just type in happiness on like coolers? Like, what's the difference?
Let's see. I mean, we can try quickly here. Coolers. Can you even type in on coolers actually?
Oh.
Yeah, there's no actual interface where you can just type in a word.
Okay.
That I was able to find, honestly.
Right. And you always get images, not colors.
You get images, not colors. On Pinterest, that was kind of the closest thing I could find, was like I was looking for the dominant color in an image. And I couldn't find it. So I was bored one day. I've been messing around with ChatGPT and I decided to build my own tool.
Oh, okay.
So this is the tool. Looks very unfamiliar, I'm sure.
No copyright infringement here.
I thought I would pay homage to Google a little bit because I'm kind of ripping them off here.
Can I try it?
Yes, please try.
Okay, so like if I type in happiness like we just did.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
I would have thought there'd be more yellow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, there they are.
Yeah, they're around.
Cool. And this is really practical actually, because like you get the hex codes, you just copy and paste that to Figma.
Exactly. You can try other words too, like sadness.
Lots of blue.
Lots of
That's
blue.
my guess. Blue, okay, dark
Just
gray.
dark colors in general.
Okay. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, you can type in
and like
anger.
My guess is red.
Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay.
That's a nice color actually there.
Yeah.
FB6E5E.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say like you do code a little bit.
Yes.
But like coding something like this, how long would that take usually?
Typically it would take quite a while. I managed to code this in 8 hours. You know, I'm not a great developer. You know, I can do the job. That's even a stretch. I can do a piece of the job.
Right.
But with ChatGPT's assistance, you can really do some amazing things.
Okay.
So let's jump in. I think it'd be interesting to show you a little bit how the process starts. So, I mean, just as a non-developer, I'm a little curious as to how you would actually start this process. What would you type?
Sure. Okay. So like, we've been using ChatGPT for like UX stuff before. So my instinct would be something like, give me code give me code that searches Google based on a keyword and returns the dominant color of the images associated with that keyword. I don't know. Yeah. Press enter. Okay, so some bit of explanation here.
Mm-hmm. It explains what language it's using and why.
Oh. See, yeah, that language thing is something I wouldn't have really thought of.
And then another interesting thing as this is generating is it tells you about other libraries. In this case, they're talking about ColorThief. ColorThief, which is a hilarious name. ColorThief is a library where it goes and actually analyzes images and finds different ways to extract different types of colors. If you wanted the average color, if you want the dominant color. And you can even be like, what is, for example, if you were curious, ColorThief?
So that's actually where I think the power comes in, is like, unlike Google, where I'd be stuck.
Totally.
First of all, I could never type something like this in Google. I would get absolute insanity.
Totally.
And then more than that, it's like a little dev sitting next to me where I can just inquire. Okay, cool.
That's the important bit, is like inquiring. And that's what's so powerful about this in general, right? So, okay, you have the search keyword. This is quite clean code, actually. There's not a whole lot going here, but I don't personally understand Python.
Right.
So let's say, could you generate this using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript?
Okay.
Just to kind of make it a little easier for me. I'm not a Python developer.
I think that's one thing that's a big caveat here. We preface this by saying, you have dev experience, but like really, this maybe isn't at the time yet where like someone without any code can jump in. Totally. But I think for someone with minimal code, it exponentially like improves
I think
what you can do.
100%. You hit the nail on the head. Like ChatGPT is a tool to enhance your knowledge and know-how and allow you to kind of dive deeper into things, especially if you have a baseline knowledge. But one of the cool things, even if you're a complete novice, is, ChatGPT just generated this JavaScript for us. And here there's a lot of functions. I'm not entirely sure what each one actually means. So I can say, in order for me to understand the code better, could you put an explanation above each line or each function?
Honestly, if this works, that's mind blowing. Okay. See, now I can understand.
Exactly.
Because I know enough code to make sense of that.
Not only can you understand, but if you're a developer, this is a little over the top, but it's best practice to kind of put in comments, which is not something that developers typically want to do.
Yeah.
So even if a dev went and wrote code and put it in there and be like, hey, explain this, because I don't want to.
Right.
Now people can go in and use, using natural language, understand what their actual intention is.
That's amazing. And now I would just copy these, put them in the file, and then I guess I would run it, right? So go back to your tool.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of interesting, but I guess one question I have is, we were looking at Google before.
Yeah.
And it's we typed in happiness or let's say fall. And it's sure.
Yeah.
I would have kind of guessed this, but it's still useful because I get the hex codes and I don't have to copy and paste thousands of images into Figma or whatever. But I'm wondering, I'd love to be able to click on one of these colors and see more similar colors or generate a monochromatic color palette from there.
Totally. That's a great request. Also something I was thinking about when I was trying to do this thing. Great thing about ChatGPT is we can literally go in here and be like, okay, when I select a color, please generate a monochromatic, complementary, and analogous color palette for me.
Okay.
So now it's okay, here's this other library, Chroma, which is the library I'm using in my tool, which allows you, basically gives you a color wheel and you can play around with that color wheel and choose where things are. So it's giving us some things here.
Okay. And then again, you would just copy and paste this into your file.
Exactly. After a little bit of debugging, we'll put in something like spring now. I heard Charlie's desire for complementary colors. Put in spring here. Okay. It's kind of a cold spring looks like. But now when I click on a color, blam. We have complementary colors. We have monochromatic.
Yeah, we can see though where ChatGPT is having a hard time. This UI is kind of a mess. but that's what it's not good at, right? It's not necessarily good at knowing where. Look at this, but it works.
It works.
And now this really starts to feel like a nice custom. I mean, imagine you had found this tool on whatever the Figma community.
Yeah.
You have to email the dev.
100.
They're gonna prioritize the feature. There's hundreds of other customers, but now
you can go and search it yourself.
I think for me, the big dream here is we're a small studio.
Totally.
We have clients with specific requests. And at some point, maybe we never buy another small plugin again, right? We've already built a plugin, but we had to work with a friend of ours to develop it.
Yeah.
But in this case, let's say with an even simpler plugin than that, I mean, in 8 hours,
it's crazy.
From here, we can just go back into ChatGPT and be make this a Figma plugin, copy that, put it on the Figma community for everyone else to benefit.
Yeah.
And I think that's really going to start closing the gap between front-end devs and front-end designers.
Yeah.
Right. And even further is not just the designers themselves, but someone that's working in design ops. The person who coordinates design systems and does documentation can now help build tools for their team of designers and really unblock them.
Hyper-specific tools. Also.
Hyper-specific things that might not be commercially viable. And I think that's super important because one of the kind of original visions of the computer is that we can do things for ourselves that may or may not make sense on the market,
100%.
So that's really awesome, man. Yeah. Are you planning on taking this any further?
Well, actually, the plan is I'm going to open source it.
Okay,
so I'm going to publish this on GitHub. I'm going to take away my APIs and whatnot. But this will be available for you in the description if you want to mess around. There's a lot of things you can do. You can play with how the dominant color is pulled out, what kind of hues you want to prioritize. I'd love to have you guys take it and run with it and see what happens.
Yeah. And if you'd like to see a full tutorial and have Allan explain how he did it step by step, leave a like, let us know in the comments below, and subscribe to keep learning with us about this evolving world of UX.